And as you know, I run Empowered STEM. Empowered STEM is an A-level course provider, and we provide A-level courses in chemistry, biology, physics, and maths for those students that want to enroll in medical, dental, veterinary, financial, and engineering programs at the chosen university in the UK. So today, I wanted to come into the live stream and I wanted to talk to you about this one. What matters more than mock grades? I know, you're thinking, Graham, what exactly can possibly matter more than mock grades? Well, the issue with parents is this, is that when the mock grade comes out for your teen, parents panic. And the reason why parents panic is because they think that mock grades are a predictor of A-level success. The teens panic. They're looking at the mock grade and they're thinking, oh, I didn't do so well. And they think that it's a predictor of how they're going to do on the final exam in A-level maths and A-level science. Nothing could be further from the truth, because what the mock grade is, it's a diagnostic snapshot of where your teen is in the A-level studies. It is not a forecast of what they're going to do on the final exam. So the danger is this, is that when your teen receives the mock grade, this is the grade that they believe that they're going to earn on the final exams in A-level maths and A-level science. And this is the danger. So let me explain to you then why mock grades don't tell the whole story. Mock grades don't tell the whole story for a few reasons. Here we go. Number one is they're given before the content is finished. They're normally in January, they're normally in February. Your teen hasn't finished the content for A-level maths, biology, chemistry, or physics, for example. And they haven't really matured their exam technique because they've been focusing on the content that the teacher's given them in the course. And so what happens is that the teacher sees the mock grades, and based on the mock grades, they will tend to change their predicted grade that they're going to get in the course. But the real danger is this, parents, is that it's not the grade that they get on the paper. The danger is what your teen does with the grade. Do they know why they got the grade that they did? So what exactly predicts A-level exam success? We've got four things. First one then is rate of improvement. Rate of improvement is this, is your teen being more consistent in their answers? Are they completing the papers more quickly? Are they more clear and writing with more clarity when they're giving the answer? Are they making a slow and steady upward progress, kind of like the stock market? These are more important than just one mock exam result. Number two, exam technique mastery. And again, this one is important. Teens on the mock exams, they tend to fall apart. And the reason why they fall apart is that they haven't mastered exam technique yet. And so they don't think like the examiner. They don't understand what to do with the command words. They don't understand to write down the key phrases that the examiner is looking for. They don't know how to structure the answer to the question in a way that makes sense for the examiner. But once they learn how to think like an examiner, then the grade improves dramatically, sometimes up to 2 letter grades in one term. Third one, do they have the ability to correct mistakes? Now, there's two types of students. There's one type of student that when they get the exam back or the test back, they look at it and they either blame the teacher, they blame the school, they blame themselves, They look at it and they go, oh, well, I got this wrong. I guess I'm not very good at A-level chemistry. Fixed mindset. Well, what I'll do is I'll just do some past papers and I'll memorize the mark schemes on that one. The other type of student is the type of student that when they get the paper back, they're more of the growth mindset. They just see the paper as data, the grade as data. There's nothing else to it. There's no emotional context to it. They go, okay, so this is the grade that I got on this mock exam or this test. Right. So what am I going to do to fix this? How can I improve? How can I lean into it? This is the growth mindset. What they can do is that they can analyze the script. And this is the bit that makes the difference. They can see patterns and they can fix patterns. And so they may notice, for example, that in organic chemistry, they're always losing a mark because they didn't quite get the arrowhead to land on the atom that they should have been landing on. Or in biology, if they're doing like the long essay questions, they didn't quite structure it the way that they should have structured it. And so they always seem to be losing the top band of marks. And so they're not looking for errors on every answer to every question, going back to the teacher and then grabbing for points. Well, could it be an extra point here? Could it be an extra point there? No, what they're doing is they're going, okay, I'm seeing a pattern here. And because I'm seeing a pattern of what I'm doing wrong, then I can get in there and I can fix this pattern. I can adjust the framework that I'm using. And this is the type of student, parents, that will easily outperform the student that just rereads their notes, grabs for points, or memorizes mark schemes. The fourth one is momentum and consistency. Final grades, parents, final grades, they come from habits, not heroics. You know, the student that tells you, well, I waited until the end and then I just revised everything. I was up all night for days on end. I must have done every paper out there. And I somehow managed to squeak out an A or a B. This isn't a reproducible data set. Not as good as the student that approaches studying, approaches revising from a point of habits. Because as I say, motivation wanes, but habits never die. Consistency in the application of habits is always going to outperform momentum and is going to outperform motivation and intensity. Because motivation, like I said, wanes and intensity comes and goes. You know what I mean, right, parents? Well, I'm just going to do a blitz over the half term. Get really intense study going on A-level chemistry or biology or physics or maths, right? And how long does that last? Maybe a week. And then after that, the intensity begins to be dialed back. The motivation begins to fade and they go back to their old habits. Whereas those students that practice and develop good habits from the beginning, they keep on going until the end of the A levels. So parents, at Empowered STEM, as you know, we run A-level courses in chemistry, biology, physics, and maths for teens, just like yours. And so we see teens like this all the time. All right. The teens whose parents invest in their education with us, they're normal teens. They're just underperforming. They haven't been supported by the school system in the way that works for them. And so when they come to us, this is the type of teen that we see. We normally see them at the beginning of year 12 or at the beginning of year 13 when things aren't quite going to plan. So what we do is this, is that we have a 4-step pathway, which I'll walk you through. The first step in our pathway is precision diagnosis. You see, mock exams will tell your teen what is missing on the mock exam. It is a snapshot. It isn't a forecast. Like I said, it is a snapshot. But we identified the gaps. So we know exactly why they are underperforming in A-level chemistry, for example. The second step of our pathway is conceptual clarity. Now, conceptual clarity means this. What we do is that we get in there and we help your teen build a really solid foundation in the A-level maths or A-level science course that they're taking. And I mean a solid, like granite type foundation. We fix any core misunderstandings. We make sure they understand the concepts forwards and backwards, up and down, around. There isn't a question that they could be asked that they couldn't answer. And when we do this, we notice in the school that the grades in the class for the teen are improving. Normally we see a 2-letter grade jump in about a term. We also look at what they did wrong in the mocks. So if it's a year 13 student, we have a look at what they did wrong in the mocks. And of course, what we find out is this, is again and again and again, it's this. It isn't because your teen has a lack of effort, it's because they have a shaky foundation. And you know the old saying of the house built on sand, right? Your teen needs a solid foundation in order to do well in the mock exams and the final exams in A-level maths and A-level science. We then teach them strategic revision. This is the third step in our journey. Strategic revision means this, is that we teach them how to revise actively and not passively. So passive revision and studying to us means they're just copying over the notes that they got from class. They're taking notes from the textbook. Maybe they're watching YouTube videos. They're memorizing mark schemes. They're doing busy work. And the grade shows that they're doing busy work because they end up getting a C or a D. What we do is that we show them how to revise and study actively. So active revision for us means interleaving, spaced repetition. The Feynman technique is another one, okay? The Feynman technique, if you didn't know it, this one is, if your teen can teach it, then they must understand it. We use the 6 pillars of neuroscience in this section. And so what we do is that we teach them how to think like an examiner, how to revise like an examiner, how to take the exams and practice them as if they are the examiner. And they get so much more benefit out of doing past papers like this. Because they're just not going through the paper as quickly as they can. They're going through the paper strategically. And the last step in our 4-step pathway is medical mindset. And this is a big one. So medical mindset for us. We know that confidence determines performance. And so we teach your teen to be confident. We rewire them so that they are confident. We also know that they need to be resilient because some days are going to go well, some days are not going to go well in a course that lasts 2 years. But the idea then is that you need to be resilient so that you can bounce back and you can be consistent in your approach to walking the journey up to the A or the A star in A-level maths and A-level science. And we also teach them, as part of the medical mindset, this one. They understand that the mock exam data, it's just data. It is not a judgment. So these are the 4 steps that we have in our pathway, our STEM path method, if you want to call it. So let me tell you a story, as I always do. Tell you a story, and I'm going to tell you the story about Sophia. We have loads of these stories, by the way, parents. All right, and parents always ask, "Are these real stories?" Well, yeah, of course they are. Let me tell you about Sophia. Sophia, when Sophia came to us, she was in year 13, and she wanted an A star in A-level chemistry. And let's just say that things weren't going well. She'd been predicted an A star, should have got an A star at the end, on the mock exam, and she didn't. She really just tumbled all the way down to a D. So she came with this complete lack of self-confidence. She believed that she couldn't do it. And I had a conversation with her. She said, "Graham, I can't do it. Chemistry, maybe chemistry is not my thing. Maybe I shouldn't have picked chemistry as an A level. I don't have one of those chemistry minds. I'm not good at science." Mm-hmm. Do you see, parents see limiting beliefs creeping in? So what we did is that I had a conversation with her, and I helped her see that the grades that she got in the mock book from a teacher at school on the mock exam, they were a snapshot. They weren't a forecast. And this is the most important bit. They weren't a label. She was walking around thinking that well, I'm a D student in A-level chemistry. No, you're not. So I started to have a conversation with her and say, "You know what, Sophia? Let's walk around and think that you're an A-star student in A-level chemistry, that you are walking the path up to the A-star in A-level chemistry. This is where you are now at a D. And so let's go in, let's fix any conceptual misunderstandings that you have. Let's put a study schedule together for you, so you're using your time effectively outside of class time. Let's put a revision schedule together for you. And let me teach you how to revise actively." And I taught her, I used the 6 pillars of neuroscience and the active learning principles and interleaving and space repetition, everything. I said, "But what I need you to do is I need you to really start to believe that you're an A-star student in A-level chemistry. Can you do that for me?" She said, "Yes, of course. I'll give it a shot." Well, as the term progressed, she moved from a D, she moved up to a C, and as the year progressed, she actually moved up to the A. And when she took the final exam in A-level chemistry, she earned an A star. And she messaged me and she said, "Graham, I want to thank you for all of your help that you and your team have provided. I've earned an A star in A-level chemistry. I was eligible to go to my top school, which is King's University, and I'm studying to be a dentist, which was her number 1 choice." Now, parents, Sophia and all the other students whose parents enroll them in our courses, they're not special. They're just like your teen, your son, your daughter. So talking about mocks then, parents, what exactly should you do after your teen has got the mock exam? Wait 24 hours. Let them calm down, have a night off, get over it. because they may have landed the grades that they wanted, or on the other hand, maybe they didn't. And so now is not the time to have a conversation with them, parents. Give them some breathing space. Second thing is, and I say this in all of my live streams, be the coach, not the referee. What you don't want to do is that you don't want to look at the grade in the mock exam and say, son, daughter, how on earth did you get this grade? What have you been doing for the last year? That's being a referee, isn't it? Handing out the red card. Where you want to be as a coach, you want to step back and say, should we have a look at the mock exam together? Are we noticing any patterns that seem to be cropping up on the questions? As in maybe significant figures. You've only got 2 out of 3 parts of the concept question. Those 6 marker questions in A-level chemistry, you only seem to be getting 4 out of 6. Look for patterns, not percentages. And then have a look at the mock exam and figure out where exactly your teen is going wrong. Is it content? They didn't know the content. Is it exam technique? They're not answering the questions in the way that the examiner wants. Or is it an application? They know the content. They can't apply it under the exam conditions because they don't know how to apply it to novel situations, and they're getting flustered with the exam technique. Is it a timing issue? Are they running out of time on the exam, rushing through the multiple choice questions? Or is it a confidence issue? Do they have that negative self-talk in their head? Are they convinced themselves? Are they getting themselves stressed out before they go into the exam? After this, come up with a plan, a 4 to 6 week plan. And in this 4 to 6 week plan, what you're going to look at is the clarity of their answers and their exam technique. And you're not going to worry about the grade. Now, I know parents, you're thinking, not worry about the grade. Graham, isn't the grade the most important thing possible? No. It's, for example, if you're driving a car and the car goes into a skid, it means like you're on an icy road and the car's spinning around in a skid. The last thing that you want to do is look at the wall because you will crash into it or the barrier down the motorway. What you want to do is look at the destination away you want the car to go, and then the car will go in that direction. So it's the same with this idea. If you look at the grades, and we've had students that have done this, they become obsessed with the grade. They become so obsessed with the grade, grabbing for points on the grade, that they're not seeing you've got to work on the clarity of the question, or the answers on the question that you're writing down, and you've got to work on your exam technique. And so they're headed towards the wall, disaster, whereas the students that go for question and answer clarity and exam technique are the ones whose grade actually improves at the end. Also, look for daily improvements, not perfection. They don't have to be perfect the next day, parents, the next day, the day after that. As long as, think stock market, as long as their grade is gradually improving, they're focusing on clarity, they're focusing on exam technique, then this is the improvement that we want. And I'll begin to walk the path up to the A and the A star. So parents, let me reassure you about something, and it's this. Mock exams, they are a snapshot. They are not a forecast. Mock exams have nothing at all to do with your teen's intelligence. They have to do with the preparation that they're putting in for the exam. Now, we've had students come into our courses, parents, that have done really poorly on the mock exams in year 13, January of year 13. and it still walked out with an A star. Because for mock exams, the grade in the mock exam actually becomes irrelevant. It's what your team does with the data next that becomes important. So parents, if you find value in these live streams and you're watching the live stream on Facebook, like the Facebook business page, and you'll be notified of the next upcoming live stream. If you're watching this live stream on YouTube, like the channel, subscribe to the channel, and again, you will be notified of the next upcoming live stream. We always get asked this question, well, Graham, you talk about these courses. How can I find out some more information about these courses that your company provides? Simple. In the description on Facebook or YouTube, there is a link, and you can click on the link in the description, and you can fill out a form, and a member of my team will call you, and you can have a conversation with them. And it's a really easy conversation that you have with a member of my team. It isn't a sales call. What it is this, is that you can have a conversation, have all of your questions answered, and you can tell us where your teen is in the academic journey, what grade they've got, what grade they need, what university they want to go to, what they want to be on the outside. And we'll tell you about our courses. And if you believe that our course is a good fit for your teen, and if we believe that our course is a good fit for your team, then you can make the informed decision of investing in one of our courses. Everyone take care, and I'll see you in the next one.